Hey friends, I wanted to do this video today because the world has gone completely mad. It seems like right now everyone is either completely afraid or angry because the world seems to have gone crazy because of this virus. And we're just drowning. We're drowning in our emotions, and it's not cool. It's not cool at all. So I really wanted to take the time to help. And the way I can do that is by sharing what I have learned about our emotional health. So that is what this video is about. This is me playing my part to speak truth to you. And if you are angry or afraid or stressed out or grieving or whatever it is you are struggling with, tune in, listen, and I pray that these words would speak to your heart and bring you some peace. Okay, so I've got notes to keep me on track so that I don't go down 5 different rabbit trails. And we're going to go off the notes so that I stay focused. But, I really want to talk about emotional health and a little bit about our physical health and our spiritual health as well. Because, again, as I've said in the past, they're all connected. We are one unified being. We are not separate parts. So you can't talk about just one aspect of our health without talking about the other aspects. So, our emotions have a wellness line too, just like our physical body does. And so today I'm going to walk you through why we have feelings, why we struggle to even understand the feelings that we're having, how our feelings can lie to us. Been there, done that. How our emotions can literally show up as physical ailments in our bodies. And, I'm really, really wanting to leave you with some truth that will make you motivated and encouraged to understand your emotions better. Okay, so let's get real. The language of emotions is like the most difficult language there is to speak. We all are challenged to effectively communicate our emotions to one another. How can you explain to someone how you're feeling if you don't even understand what you're feeling, right? We've all been there. There are times when we just literally don't have the words. And there's reasons for that, right? There are reasons. So from when the time we were little, a lot of times we were told not to show our feelings. Only babies cry. Don't cry, right? Or whatever we were taught from little to stuff and not to express. So lies have been spoken over us. I know that happened to me. Things like, you're not good enough, you're dumb, you'll never understand, you won't get this, you're not good at this, you're not beautiful, you're ugly, whatever those lies were. They were lies. But somewhere along the line, we took them inside and believed them as our truth. And it's not. It's not who we are. It's never been who we are. But, we live in a sinful world. And this goes all the way back to the beginning. All the way back. You have to go back to the Garden of Eden to really understand why human beings tend to bury their feelings. What happened? God gave humanity one rule. One. You can have everything I created, God said. this one tree, the fruit of it, the knowledge of good and evil, don't eat from that tree. Everything else is yours. And the enemy came along and tricked the woman and said, did God really say? Right? Planting that doubt in her heart. And so she decided, hey, it looks good. I want it. And I'm going to take it. And then afterwards, she gave it to her husband and he ate. And then God, right? And then God came along and he knew what had happened. But they realized they were guilty. And what did they do? They ran and they hid from God. And God came. He didn't ask, where are you? He said, what did you do? He gave them that opportunity to speak truth. And then the blame started, right? Well, the woman, well, the snake, well. But, Satan had a foothold at that point. And that's when we started seeing things like blame, guilt, shame, fear. Before, there was none of that. And now our world is drowning in it. It's drowning. We're at a point where we live out of those emotions, that blame, that guilt, that shame, that fear. They rule us, but they don't have to. They don't have to. It's interesting the difference between guilt and shame. Christine Kane explains it this way. Guilt says the thing you did was bad. Shame says you are bad. Right? And we see that even from little. Hey, that thing you did was wrong. But we internalize it as, because I did something wrong, I must be wrong. Right? That's where that shame comes from, that lie that because we did something wrong, we are wrong and bad. And we must feel that shame about who we are. And because we have that, we're so afraid. We're so afraid of doing the wrong thing, of letting someone in because they'll hurt us. So we hide. Because we're afraid, we hide and we run and we hide some more and we act like we don't have feelings. Because if I don't have feelings, you can't hurt them. And you can't hurt me. And that's another lie that we tell ourselves, right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Do you remember singing that as a kid? Do you remember feeling the lie of it even as you said it? Words hurt. The wrong words hurt a lot. But, and we pretend that if we don't feel these things, that they'll just go away. But they don't. They stay with us. And this is where we're going to get some nerdy science in. Because I like nerdy science. All right. So, the lies that were spoken over us, they stick with us, right? Because we play them on repeat in our heads over and over and over. And we may or may not even realize that we're doing it. So, because these buried feelings that we have, they stay in our bodies. Isn't that crazy? But our bodies are amazing. Amazing. But these buried feelings end up controlling us instead of us controlling them. And they just will wreak havoc on us. And we can go into a state of physical strain or dis-ease because of our feelings, because we've buried them. So, when you deal with things like headaches, gut issues, your joints, your back, your knees, your lungs, all of it can be related to come from some kind of negative emotional pattern. And that's crazy to think about. It's crazy. But it's true. Inside of our bodies, we have cells, organs, and glands, and everything is constantly in communication with each other. They're constantly sending chemical messengers. We've got transmitters and neurotransmitters and steroids and all that going on all the time. So our feelings actually send out signals too. Did you know that? They do. Everything has a frequency about it. And that's interesting. Everything vibrates, right? So think about when God created the world and everything in it. What did he do? He spoke things into existence. Put your hand over your throat. You feel that? That's a vibration. It's what you hear is the vibration in the air of someone's voice, of all the cars going by, whatever. It's all vibrations. And so everything's constantly in motion. And your emotions produce that motion. And that's part of the signaling system inside your body. It's pretty crazy, right? But these emotions send these signals at a cellular level. Our feelings and thoughts send chemical messengers in our body, and they change our body's chemistry. I want to do a little exercise with you. Take a deep breath. And close your eyes. I want you to imagine like your dream kitchen. You walk inside and it's pristine. It's so clean. Looks like a magazine. There's lots of natural light coming in. Oh, and it's gorgeous. And then you walk over to the counter. And on the counter is a bowl of fruit. Can you see it? On top of the bowl, the very top of that bowl of fruit, is a lemon. Oh, and it's beautiful. It's got that perfect yellow color and it's big and you smell it. Oh, and it just smells that fresh lemony scent. And you notice next to the bowl, there's a knife. So you pop that lemon on the counter and you cut it open. And you feel the juice starting to run down your fingers. And I want you to take that lemon in your mind and just squeeze it and right into your open mouth. All right. There is no lemon. There is no kitchen. But did you feel that extra saliva coming into your mouth when that lemon juice hit your tongue? I have done that exercise I don't know how many times, and every time my mouth produces extra saliva just from the thought of lemon juice hitting my tongue. Here's another one. You're in a classroom, and this rambunctious little boy runs right up to the chalkboard, and he takes his nails and he scratches his nails down the chalkboard. Did you get that chill up your spine? There's no chalkboard. There's no rambunctious little boy running his fingernails down it. But you still got that physical response from that thought. Our emotions are no different. They still give us those physical responses from the emotions themselves. We have 100 trillion cells in our body. That's trillion with a T. Each one can store up to 6 gigabytes of information. That's a lot of information. And some of that information stored is feelings that we haven't dealt with, that we have buried because that is what we have been trained to do. And here's the thing. This process of things changing our DNA, that's called epigenetics. 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 You can look that up. But once our DNA is changed, we can pass it on for up to 7 generations. If you look in the Bible, there's something called generational curses. I don't know specifically that this is what God is talking about, but makes sense. If you can change your DNA and pass that along to 7 generations, and a generational curse can last up to 7 generations, I don't know for sure, but I got a sneaking suspicion that's what it could be. And here's the thing. All these cells storing all this garbled up information with negative signals and negative emotions, they migrate like magnets to certain things. Remember how everything has a frequency? Well, like calls to like, right? So an emotion will have a certain frequency and an organ will have a certain frequency. And if they match, guess what? That emotional negative junk will be drawn to that organ with the same frequency. And then it stays there. And it kind of muffles that signal. So then your body isn't communicating as effectively as it should. Take anger. Anger actually has the same frequency as your liver. I don't know if it's ever been done, but it would be an interesting study to see how many people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease have anger issues. I don't know that any study like that has ever been done, but in my mind, that would be fascinating to see. Because I know people who have anger issues and have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Coincidence? I don't know. I don't think so, personally, but that's my opinion. So, anyway, because these emotions stay buried inside and they attract to these different organs and systems inside of us, and they muffle these messages, these organs who are trying to send out messages, they're getting stuck, right? They can't get what they need from our body because they can't get a signal out. So what can we do about it? If this is the truth and the way things are, what can we do to change it? Because I'm not going to leave you powerless to not do anything and just be stuck. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do here. Change your mindset. It's a couple of words. It sounds simple. It's not. Well, it is simple. It's not easy, but it is doable. Change your habits, right? Be watchful of who you spend your time with and how you spend that time. There are things God created. They're called essential oils. And God gave them to us. And we can use them because you know what? They have a frequency too. And so we can use them to help clean out the gunk inside. Essential oils are tiny. They're actually made to enter cells because that's what they do in the plant. In the plant, they bring oxygen and they remove waste. Well, they do the same thing in your body. They can cleanse, repair, restore at the cellular level. So that's inside the cells. They can bring oxygen and take out waste. They can assist in pulling this junk out by the root, which usually doesn't feel good because when you pull out roots, what comes with it? Dirt. Dirt comes with it. It's not clean. It's messy. Do it anyway. Because once that root is gone, it feels so much better because those weeds don't keep popping up. And they can help our body's chemistry stay balanced and at homeostasis. Homeostasis is like where you're supposed to, it's like your set point. It's where you're supposed to be. So, God gave us so many amazing things. And, there's this book here called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And it goes into, it's got more emotions in here than I've ever heard of. But it's also got charts where you can look. And if you feel different points in your body, like have pain and stuff, then you can't really explain it. That can be incredibly helpful. But let me tell you, I know essential oils can help because they've helped me and they've helped others. So I'm going to tell you a couple stories. All right. So for me personally, I have recently been dealing with grief because my grandmother passed away. And while I feel the grief, I know it's there and I acknowledge it because I loved her so much. I'm not drowning in it and I haven't hit depression. And I attribute that to prayer, to knowing where my grandmother is, and to using joy because joy is great for grief. Found that in my little book. But that has been incredibly helpful for me. And just when I feel it coming on, it's like, okay, grab my joy, say some prayers, and let it go. Stress is another emotion that a lot of people are struggling with right now because people are stressed out because the world has changed so much. In just a few weeks, it seems like everything has turned upside down. People are out of work. People are wondering what to do with their children and how to stay out of the public and all the things, right? All the things. So when my son first came home, he was 2.5 years old. And so he had learned some coping mechanisms for his survival before he came home that I was not prepared to deal with. Brand new boy mom. Never been a boy mom before. And so he was just rambunctious and rowdy and all kinds of boy. And he stomped all over my buttons with a smile on his sweet little face. And my stress levels were through the roof because I didn't know how to deal with it. So I grabbed an oil called Stress Away and I slathered it on. And it's like it put a barrier between me and the frustration I was feeling at this little child who was just doing what he knew how to do. And instead of me feeling so immediate and personal about it, it was like I was able to take that mental step back and see his behavior for what it was, which was just a desperate cry for help instead of something that was out to step on all of my buttons on purpose, right? So it took the immediacy of it out, which was huge for me. Huge. So, as I mentioned, my grandmother recently passed away, and as you can imagine, my mom, because it was her mom, has been having a really hard time. And so when I was down there visiting, I had brought a certain oil with me. And I had her smell it, and she's like, "Oh, what's this?" I'm like, I told her the name of the oil, and she's like, "What should we do with it?" I'm like, "Well, we can diffuse it if you want." And she's like, "Nah, my diffuser's in the other room. I won't worry about it." I'm like, "Okay." And sure enough, a few minutes later, she's like, "Let's go get the diffuser." Okay. So we set it up, and we had it diffusing, and it smelled really nice. And when she went to bed, I'm like, hey, let's move the diffuser to your room. We'll top it off with this oil and you just enjoy it. Okay. So anyway, long story, a little bit shorter. When I left to come back home, I left that oil with my mom. And I was talking to her the other day, and I'm like, hey, Mom, is that oil really helping you? She's like, oh, Jessica, yes, it is. Because I find when I diffuse it, I can sleep. And the one night she forgot to turn the diffuser on, she had so much trouble sleeping because of the grief and all of the mixed emotions that come with losing a parent or a loved one, and that she is currently working her way through. So these have been a huge blessing to me and to my family. And they're there. And I know that they could be a huge blessing to you as well. And I pray that this message gives you some encouragement and some hope and shows you that you don't have to be stuck in fear, in depression, in anger, in all of these things that hurt us. So I encourage you to pray. Oh, pray. Speak truth over yourself. Go into the Bible and see what God says about you. That you are loved. That you are made on purpose. You were never a mistake. You were never unwanted or unloved. That God has plans for you and they are good. And that you never have to be alone. Because He promises never to leave or forsake you. Speak that truth over yourself every day. Find people in your life who will speak that truth over you every day. And if this has ministered to you and you would like some essential oils, talk to me. Send me a message, comment on this video, talk to the person who shared it with you, and we will get you whatever you need to be healthy and well, because your emotions matter and your emotional health is important. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I pray that this message has been a blessing to you. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.